Welcome to Paradigms at paradigms.life, the radio show and podcast that brings you inspiring people with visions of a viable future for life on Earth that includes humans. Hi, I'm Baruch, host of Paradigms. Thanks for listening. I think you're going to really enjoy my guest on this episode. He's an instrumentalist and a ball of energy. The guy is just electric. His music is powerful, and I think you're really going to enjoy the music and the artist. He is plugged into a source of creativity that is really something. So let's meet him right now on this episode of Paradigms. Andrea Valeri, buongiorno, and welcome to Paradigms.
Buongiorno a te, Baruch. Thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to be on this magical program.
Well, it's really my pleasure. I had such a wonderful time at your concert in Petersfield in the UK last month, and just getting to hear and see the energy that you bring with your music was really a treat.
Thank you. Well, I'm so moved and touched by your words. I hope you got the love and the joy and the good energy from the music we share together.
Absolutely.
I always say that I'm just a translator. I'm just literally a translator. Music is what makes that effect, and it makes it to you, it makes it to me. And we are very lucky because we got connected because of music and for music.
Yes. So I am very interested in your story, how you discovered at a very young age that you are this translator, that you are this channel for this music. How did this happen?
I guess it was a happy accident, very, very happy accident, because I remember my mother singing me songs and, playing me songs since I was a very, 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 I would say 3 or 4 months old. And she would put the songs of a very wonderful Italian singer-songwriter named Angelo Branduardi. She would play to me a very special song from him called Alla Fiera dell'Est. And that's how I got into music. Music was with me much before the guitar. The guitar was something that came to me when I was about 10, but music has always been with me. She put some music on to make me sleep, but honestly, the last thing I was doing was to sleep. She would be mad at me because I would just ask her to put it again and listen to the songs and try to get the words right. Try to get the sounds. Still today, I can tell you 110% sure, I can play for you every single solo that was included in that song that I heard 32 years ago when I was a baby. So that's how I started. Everything started because of basically my mother playing to me songs. And I had some, it's something that it's quite unexplainable. I can't tell you in literal words how it did all happen, but I can tell you that I could feel there was like a fountain of energy behind music, giving colors and talking to me. And I had this thing when I was a child. I was always looking to things and ask to myself this question: how do other people see the same thing? I was, for example, looking to the sky, and for me, the sky is blue, but probably your vision of the sky is not the same that I have. Even if we both say that it's blue, your blue might be different from mine. But when I listened to music, I thought that could be a way to connect our points of view, because we could refer to a same language, the same story.
This question that you ask yourself, I have to tell you, I've talked with thousands of people. This is a question that people ask themselves, certain people who go on to have a large vision of reality that is inclusive. This is not everyone asks himself this question.
Right.
This is a sign of something to me.
All right. Does it look like I'm mad now? No, right?
No, in fact, it's the opposite. It's that you have an insight into a larger reality than just the local reality of each individual. You see yourself as part of something bigger.
Yeah, well, I've never felt, how can I tell you that? I've never felt like an individual, not like one person and that's it. I'm better than that. I'm better than, no. I always felt part of a path, part of something that we all belong to. I thought music was the vibration, the language that brought us all together. We could share a universal point of view looking together to music. That was basically the thing that brought me into music.
I'm talking with Andrea Valeri about his music and his inspiration. And we'll be back with more of this conversation. But first, let's hear some of the music. It's what it's all about. From his album Mediterraneo, this is The Journey Home. You're listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life. Andrea Valeri, The Journey Home, from his album Mediterraneo. Isn't that really wonderful? He's just something. We'll be listening to more music from that album and from the album Historia. But first, let's get back to my conversation with Andrea Valeri. That is so many people's life's work in various ways. And in yours, it's music. And music is such a powerful, magical, transformative thing that, of course, it can bring us all together and does.
I have the feeling, in the past 16 years, I've played a little bit everywhere in the world. Actually, I miss South America. I've never been there. I've never been playing in South America, but everywhere else in every continent I've played, I play instrumental music. So yeah, there's another funny thing about a friend of mine that named an album. In Italian, it would be definire significa limitare. To define, it means to limit. That's how he thinks about music. And so that's also my choice of becoming an instrumentalist instead of a singer-songwriter, because I didn't want to put words on the song. So everybody could have his or her own point of view on the song, and just get the story, but bring your own characters in the story. That's basically it.
That's one of the reasons I love instrumental music. And usually it's jazz. People listen to jazz and they travel in their mind. And your music, which is not technically jazz, but it is jazz because you're doing your own thing. And it is music to journey by, to be in a place of discovery.
Thank you very much for this.
Oh, it's wonderful music. So I've just listened to two of your records, Mediterraneo and Historia.
Yes.
And they're completely different. And yet they are you. So Mediterraneo, it's all you and the guitar. There might be an overdub here or there, but it's pretty much just you and the guitar.
Yeah.
And some of these are songs that people might recognize. Mostly, I think it's your own compositions.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. But then Historia, it's something else, because this is Andrea, the composer, coming through with orchestra and other instruments, and it has so much dimension. And I was so happy to hear you going there.
Well, thank you.
For you, because I imagined it must have been an amazing experience for you to have access to all these other instrumentation. So I want to ask you about these two records and what it was like making them and the difference in your journey.
Yeah. First of all, let me say I'm thankful for your joy and for joining these records. Thank you. And I'm happy they gave something back to you. Mediterraneo was part of a journey. I mean, look, from the beginning until the end, the end of now, I'd say there is a story behind all the albums that I've done. Every title is a one very special spot of my life, okay? I started with an album called The Secret of Silence. Then I've done another one that was called The Trip. Then I've done another one. I was very young when I did them. I was 15, 16. So it was 16, 17 years ago.
Wow.
And that was Maybe. Then there was Daydream. Then there was Race Around the World, Mediterraneo, Historia. So they are just like a line, you see? There is a line behind all the albums. And I felt in Mediterraneo that I was going to a spot where I felt more sure about my music. I could play better than I did before. And I wanted to give some new stories, mostly original stories, as you mentioned before. It was interesting. It was an interesting adventure because I got to explore some new worlds in Mediterranean, some new sounds from the guitar. There are some new compositions that cross all the genres, one after the other. So when you listen to my albums, you mentioned that before, there is no one thing, and it's going to be just that thing, that it's, I'm very open and generous. And Historia was another step. I've done 2 movies recently and soundtracked 2 movies, the scores, and that was mainly because of Historia first. If I hadn't done exactly that album, I wouldn't have been able to do those things and then switch to the next album, which I'm doing now, by the way, and I'm going to tell you in a minute. So Historia was more like, composition, less guitar. It was more space for other musicians to join. I had Ennio Morricone strings, and I had some other musicians, very, very cool musicians from all over the nation, and other European musicians, musicians from abroad. Yeah, that's much about the songs. That album is much more about the songs. It's not about the guitar much. So I remember a few people, when they listened to Historia, they were expecting a new guitar album, and they didn't get it. So they were like, "Oh, why don't you just make another guitar album?" And I say, "No, that's another step in my life. Now I'm this, and I don't want to repeat myself."
Right.
So there is always a different part of my life, and Historia was the composer part. Now I'm going through another phase with another album I'm just about to finish now within the next 2 weeks. And it's going to be called Odissea, which is basically the story, the myth of Ulysses, seen as my point of view. Because what Ulysses did with the ship, I'm exactly doing the same thing with music. I'm feeling very close to the character of Ulysses. So it's even bigger, the range of genres that are inside the new album.
We'll be back with more of my conversation with Andrea Valeri, and isn't he great? Here is a track from his album Historia called Mediterraneo. Mediterraneo from Andrea Valeri's album Historia, completely different from the song we heard before from the earlier record. The composer really getting to shine. Okay, here's the next part of my conversation with Andrea Valeri. You're really very consciously on this journey and sharing it.
The journeys that I've done around the world that brought me back to Mediterraneo, that brought me to Historia, that now another circle is starting. It's like a spiral. It's always on a new circle, always a new circle. I was just discussing about this vision 2 nights ago, and with a couple of friends of mine. They were asking about the new album and how it was going. And I said, look, I'm really in the moment where I feel like Ulysses. I feel sometimes lost. Sometimes I come back to my island and I can't wait to go back to travel.
What you've just said is actually very powerful, because it's true for all of us. If we're willing to stop and pay attention, everyone is on their odyssey and moving from chapter to chapter.
Yeah. It's like, life is an odyssey, Odyssea. And there are some points of view to look at it. And there are many ages, Now I've been thinking about this recently on a flight. I was, recollecting all the memories from my past journeys and my past 16 years. And sometimes I go on a new stage and there are lots of people and I feel so charged. I go there and ask to myself, why didn't I just do this before? The devil says me that, and the angel comes on the other side and says, because you were not ready.
Well, we're all in an ongoing process of ripening,
Yeah.
and if you eat the fruit before it's ripe, it's not ripe.
That's it. I don't want to rush it now, but now I realized it,
Yeah.
I realized how important this journey is and how many beautiful things bring into my life. And one of these things is right here, because we met because of this odyssey, and now we are here together, and that's it.
And to go back to that performance, what I saw was you come in the room with this incredible, like you're like a ball of energy, and you start playing and you're relating with us, the people in the room, and it's very a conversation in a way, but the playing is exuberant. It's literally just like you're pouring energy into us with your music, and it's coming through you, it's coming from you. I mean, I love music. I love being around musicians. I love what people share, and what you're doing stands out as being really literally like a ball of electricity.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad you got something from me when I was playing for you. And I guess it's something unexplainable sometimes. If the musicians, because to be a musician or to be a guitarist is two very different jobs. And to be an instrumentalist, to be a guitarist, and to be a musician is in my opinion, is 3 very different jobs. I try to be a musician, which means that the guitar is called musical instrument for a reason, because it's an instrument to make music. It's not the music. Music is something I don't know anything about, but I can feel it, and this instrument brings it to you. That's it. If the musician stands behind the music and lets the music flow, that's when you get that electricity, because you are in straight contact, in first-person contact with the world above. It's just a matter of standing back or stay in front of the music. What I like is to let the music go, so you get exactly those emotions that I can feel when I'm translating this music to you.
It's like there's the metaphysical world behind the physical world.
Yeah. I saw it when I was a child. I kind of saw it because I could feel this fountain of energy. And if you drink from this fountain, you'll be able to give it back to the others, you know?
I'm talking with Andrea Valeri, and now we're going to hear a couple of tracks from his album Mediterraneo. The first one is With My Father's Eyes. This is Paradigms at paradigms.life. That's called In My Mother's Hands, and that's from Andrea Valeri's album Mediterraneo. And before that, we heard With My Father's Eyes. And now here's the next part of my conversation with Andrea Valeri. How do you go through your life in a way? What are the choices you make personally that keep you in touch with that fountain?
Right. That's a very interesting question and a very difficult question. So let me try and explain this for you. Right. So let's say like this. I try to get inspired from the land close to me, first of all. I'm lucky enough to live in a land full of beauty all around here. I can travel 20 minutes and I'm in Pisa, 25 minutes I'm in Livorno, 40 minutes I'm in Florence. And we are, you need to know this. First of all, I'm as a study title, I'm a classic study person, classical studies plus archaeology. So I'm very much into, the things around me. And first, what I do is I try to be receiving the energy that the land gives to me. And here, Tuscany is like a magnet. You hear and you absorb the energy of history, the energy of beauty, the energy of millennia of history behind us. The second thing is try to listen, because the first teaching that music gives us all is to listen. And that's basically the first rule to get inspired, because music is here even now. We just have to listen and to feel it, and then we can translate it. Music is in you. Music is where you are. Music is where I am. It's all around here. We just have to keep silent and let the music speak for ourselves. So, first of all, try to get inspired from the land I am from, and then the listening process is very important. And surround myself with people that are very inspiring, like you. See, I can learn. I don't want to stop learning. Never. If I do that, please kill me before. I don't want to stop learning, because another great teaching that music gives to us is to always be open in new learning process. I want to keep learning forever. Until I'm here, I want to keep learning. So one day I'll be able to bring all of these teachings with me. So these are the three aspects that I'd say they make music possible for me. Never be limited. Always look for new things. Always look for the moment of life that we're crossing and its beauties, and to surround myself with a good bunch of people in a great place.
Those are things anyone can do wherever they are.
Yeah. The world is always beautiful everywhere.
And, because you've traveled, you can be in the forest, you can be in the desert, you can be on the mountain, you can be by the sea. The earth is always pouring out life to us, always.
Yeah. I think nature and earth have to be listened like we listen to music. No? We can feel our planet when we are in a good energy spot.
And you can feel it with your whole body, your whole being, and it can be in the city or it can be in the country. If you let yourself, you can feel the place, and it always has nourishment to offer.
Yeah.
Even places that have been polluted and degraded.
Yeah. I think it's something that I felt when I moved here, where I'm now, where I'm very close to Pisa at the moment. I'm in a town called Ponsacco, and I'm living here I've been living here for 8 years now. I just forgot. 8 years. Yeah, that's 8 years. When I came here, exactly where I am now, I felt there was a huge positive energy in the place where I was standing. And I said, yeah, this is going to be it. I cannot tell you why, but there is something I can feel, and it brought me, this place brought me the old album, Mediterraneo, Historia, and the newer one.
We'll return with the final part of this conversation with Andrea Valeri after we hear this track from his album, Historia. It's called La Città Perduta. From his album Historia, that's La Città Perduta by Andrea Valeri. And just think how different it is to compose for a bunch of instruments than it is to compose just for the guitar. All right, here's the final part of my conversation with Andrea Valeri.
I do believe that there are certain places that are for certain people. There are places I've been where I know that place on the earth, I have a certain resonance with it that I don't have in other places. It's just different. And you found one of yours.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Italy is like already a big magnet over there in the Mediterranean, but there are some special spots into the landscape that you can go and find out about them, and they are very powerful. They're very, very proper.
I lived in Liguria for about 6 months.
Oh, that's great.
2008. I went to marry some friends because I was performing marriages, and I stayed in their place while they were not there in a village called Vassallo, just north of Abenga, right on the edge of this valley, these dramatic cliffs on the other side of the valley, and just amazing. And to feel that place, that earth there, it was very powerful. It's both turbulent and calming at the same time, but there is this sense of age, of history, of how many different lives over thousands and thousands of years have been lived in these places.
It's a magical atmosphere sometimes. If you listen to No Land into the Historia album, it tells a story of Atlantide, that's how we call it. It tells the story of Atlantis from the point of view, in my imagination, probably, it's always my point of view, basically, but it would have been the point of view of the people who were there that are still speaking today and try to get their voice out from the sea. So that's No Land. And most of those songs that you find into Historia have been written because of all these things.
You're on a fascinating journey. I think of us as we're all one. And what looks like individuals is just, this is the universe getting to see through this pair of eyes and speak through this mouth. But it's all, the whole of existence is one. And each point of view is slightly different. Each person standing in the circle sees it in a slightly different way, but it's one circle and we're all together in it. And when someone is making music, and especially the way you're making music, which is you're pulling from this fountain, you're allowing it to move through you. It's a specific point of view and everyone has their own, but there's something about being able to fully be immersed in one. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. It feeds us in a way that is beyond measurement. It is not linear.
Yeah.
It connects us, as you said.
Yeah, there are some mysteries around us that probably they don't want to be explained. They are just wanting to be felt.
Which is why the words are so inadequate.
So that's basically what's music for me about. What my music speaks about, It could speak about many things, but La Città Perduta, the first track from Historia, I wrote it in Australia when traveling there because of another story of Ned Kelly that I heard in Australia, and I was traveling on this Volkswagen little bus with a great friend of mine, Owen Van Larkins, and he was telling me the story of Ned Kelly, and apparently I was sitting on the driver's side, the European driver's side, and I had my guitar out, and I started to imagine this story about Ned Kelly. We were just crossing the spots where all of these stories happened, and I got my guitar out and started to play like, I was there. I was soundtracking that moment. Every one of my songs is a soundtrack of something that happened or somebody I met, basically.
I'm so glad to talk with you and have you on this show, because I hope more people get to listen to your music and
thank you,
and be energized by what you are bringing through. It's really, I think people need it. I think it's nourishment. It's all nourishment.
Thank you very much. I'm very moved by this. Thank you. Yeah, you see, I hope that people, through me, they will see something that I've seen first, and they will get some energy shot from something that got the energy to me as well. It's not about me. You know, I'm here today. I could be not here tomorrow, but music will always be. Sound will always be. So, you know, it's we are limited. Music is not. So that's why I respect music so much.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been a lovely pleasure to speak to you. And what a fantastic time I had talking to you, really. And I hope people listening to this are going to get something back and discover some of my music.
Andrea Valeri, such a pleasure to talk with you. Love all the energy and just the connectedness. It's like you're plugged into the universe, not just with the music, but just your being. If you'd like to know more about Andrea, check out his website, andreavaleri.com. It's AndreaValeri.com. And be on the lookout for his new record. I can't wait to hear it. Coming out probably later this year. You know what Andrea was talking about, the fountain behind him that sends the music through him. That's inspiration. And that is there for all of us. Maybe not through music, maybe through other forms of creativity or just inspiring us in our daily lives. But we can all plug into that source that Andrea is connected with. Connecting with the land, wherever you are, in the city, in the country, feeling the life of the earth and the story of the earth, and listening. If we do these things, we connect, as Andrea was describing. Pretty simple, really. So if you're feeling uninspired ever, all you need to do is check in with the place you're in and become quiet and listen and see what happens. If all of humanity connected with the earth and took time to listen, how might the world be different? All right. Thank you so much, Andrea. If you enjoyed this episode of Paradigms, I hope you'll visit the Paradigms website at paradigms.life and check out all of the many years of archived episodes. This week, there is a link on the Paradigms website where you can make a contribution to help folks in Vermont who have just experienced catastrophic flooding with over 100 roads washed out in a relatively small state. They can really use the help. But Vermonters are strong and resilient and have come together to help each other. No surprise there. Talk about tuning into the land. Folks in Vermont are very tuned in, especially right now, to what's happening with the land around them. And many creative responses to the flooding are being implemented. All right, we're going to wind up this episode with one more track of music from Andrea Valeri's album Historia. It's a song he was talking about No Land, a song about Atlantis. I hope you enjoy it, and let's let the word for the week be listen. Let's listen. Take time to listen. Baruch signing off for this episode of Paradigms. We'll be back next time with more inspiring people. Until then, listen and be well. been listening to Paradigms at paradigms.life.